Welcome to FiveTalking, the home for the compulsive listmaker.
We're the show that gives you the definitive top 5 of anything and everything.
It's Al and Josh again, and today's category is Newsreaders.
Newsreaders, yeah. Interesting category this. Don't quite know how you categorise what makes a good or a bad newsreader.
I don't think it's really about whether they're any good at reading the news or not. That's ultimately, I think, what we're finding out doing this.
Well, looking at our top 5, you're definitely right there.
Well, let's kick off straight away and run into number 5.
Number 5, we've got Moira Stewart.
Lovely Moira.
Lovely Moira. Very nice sense of humour. Always a little twinkle in her eye whenever she's reading the news.
Yes, a real trailblazer as well.
Yeah.
Moira Stewart.
Absolutely. I mean, when we were kids, she was the only black woman, I would say, who was reading the news.
I can't think of anybody else. It's particularly when you think that she was BBC One, prime time.
Oh yeah,
TV.
She was one of their major newsreaders, wasn't she? And yeah, I always felt like she had a bit of a sense of humour. I've seen her on other things since. I think she did a hosting thing on Have I Got News For You, didn't she, once? And
yes.
She was very funny on that.
Yeah, she does seem a lovely woman. Interesting background as well. I mean, her personal life is probably, to be honest, a bit more interesting than her reading of the news.
Indeed, yeah. What did we find out? She dated Des Lynam?
Des.
Big Des Lynam.
Lovely old Des.
Yeah.
For any of you who don't know who Des Lynam is, he's a rather jovial Irish sports presenter, bit of a legend in the UK.
He was basically the Gary Lineker of sportscasting back in the 80s and 90s, wasn't he? He was like presenting Match of the Day for years, grandstand.
He was Slick Rick,
yeah,
all the way through, wasn't he? He was a Housewife's favourite.
He was the Housewife's favourite.
It's the term you would use for him.
Had a classic tash, and also passed the baton on to Gary Lineker, completely missing out Steve Ryder.
Yeah.
Poor old Steve Ryder, he put in the hard yards.
Steve, my hair starts far too far into my forehead, Ryder. It's like he wears a hair helmet.
So true. Steve, the look of excitement on my face on the last day of the US Masters is way out of proportion to the action going on. Oh dear.
Oh, well done, Ryder.
But he's still better than Doogie Donnelly.
So back to Moira.
Yeah.
So she dated Des. Lucky old Des, really. I mean, I doubt he was much of a catch in those early days. So Moira was probably lowering her standards a bit.
Moira, she's a talent spotter. She knew he was going to go far.
And there was a bit of a coming together with her and John Humphreys.
Apparently he propositioned her, and that's about all the information you can get out of it. So. But sadly, it did disqualify Humphreys from our list. So
quite right.
We felt like we couldn't have him and Moira Stewart within 10 yards of each other. We're not saying there's a restraining order, but we feel that there might be. It just might have been underreported.
God almighty. That's not at all libelous.
Okay, let's move on to number 4 quickly. Who have we got at number 4, Al?
Trevor McDonald.
Oh, Big T.
Well, and also, thank God, he's reasonably dull and boring, so we know there's going to be no risk of a libel case against us.
Absolutely, yeah. We don't want to cause more controversy now, do we?
So Trevor, a bit of a trailblazer, isn't he?
Yeah, an iconic figure in British newscasting. Was on ITN for 30 odd years.
Christ.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. I mean, News at 10 was just news. It was Trevor McDonald basically at 10, wasn't it?
It was Trevor McDonald, yeah, exactly.
Interesting how he's kind of ended his News at 10 career and then moved on to do quite a lot of other stuff.
He has. He's particularly interested in these documentaries he makes.
Well, I didn't want to instantly jump to them, but yes. They are pretty intriguing, aren't they? Let's just say they're on subjects that I wouldn't necessarily imagine he knows a lot about.
Well, yeah, it's the serial killer ones going to women's prisons, and he's no Louis Theroux, is he? He's just not. His personality is too formal. He is not geared up to be doing these interviews. He looks utterly bizarre every time he does them.
Well, the good news is as well is that the women in these institutions and things like that, on death row, they trust him instantly because he takes his tie off.
Exactly.
He turns up looking exactly the same as when he read the news, but he's taken his tie off. So it's right, relax, everyone. The authority's gone.
He's one of us.
Yeah. Oh, it's Trev.
Yeah, it's Big T. He's one of us. And to be fair, they've got no idea who this guy is anyway. I mean, he's not as if he's famous in America. So he comes over, interviews them, and they're just like, I've got no idea who this guy is. And he looks like a lamb, like a sheep in headlights. He's got no idea what he's doing, is he?
No, exactly. I mean, if one of them had phoned him ahead and said, Trev, can you bring me in a knife? He'd have done it.
Yeah, they'd just done it. Just okay. Well, why not? Why on earth not?
Yeah.
What possible harm could that do?
Yeah, I'll have some nunchucks and
yeah. Well, we've got a game of pool. Can you bring me in like a metal snooker cue? Yeah, sure, ladies.
With a nail in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Sure, ladies. I thought I'd bring a bayonet as well.
Oh, brilliant. Well, that's Trevor at 4. I mean, all joking aside, a real institution in the UK.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
one of the icons of British newsreading.
Well placed at 4, I think.
Yeah.
Well placed at 4. Okay, moving on to 3. Oh, one of my favourites at 3.
Alistair Stewart.
Alistair
Stewart.
Well, should we talk about his ability to read news to begin with? I mean, he's been around a long time.
Yeah, he can read off an autocue.
He's very good at it.
He's good with an autocue. He kind of gives the impression of a slight sub Jeremy Clarkson, like Daily Mail reader personality.
Yeah.
And he also presented that dreadfully tacky police camera action TV show.
Oh, it was. Yeah, actually, it was rubbish. I was going to say it was all right. It wasn't. It was terrible. It was like those American
like Cops,
police
wasn't
cops
it?
shows. Yeah, that's it. Where essentially you see low-key criminals behaving like dicks, easily getting caught by the rozzers.
Exactly.
And he kind of just gives his take on it and chastises them for their actions.
His disapproval was seething across the airways. He hated these criminals, hated them. I mean, he was the most law-abiding. He gave the impression of being the most law-abiding citizen in the UK.
Oh, I tell you what, Alistair Stewart, he could have been the Pope.
He could have been the Pope.
Until
we got done for drink driving twice and lost his job.
Alistair. 3 times over the limit he was, apparently.
3 times over the limit.
That's a little careless, to say the least.
A little careless, yeah. A little careless.
So, we're doing well here. So at the moment, he's been done for drink driving. Anything else that's happened in his life that's a bit controversial?
Well, he did have to step down from ITN earlier this year for breaching their social media policy.
Oh, God, yes, he did. Quite enough of that one. Let's move straight on to number 2.
Straight on to number 2.
And number 2, Michael Burke.
Old Burko. Another icon of UK news broadcasting.
Yeah, I suppose that he formed part of the sort of... The BBC had like the stellar lineup. They were what's like the Marvel characters? What are they called? The Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
it was like the Fantastic Four lineup of newsreaders at one point, didn't they? Sissons,
Burke,
someone,
Sue Lawley,
and of course Anna Ford.
Yeah, that was the kind of like the classic lineup, wasn't it? The golden years of BBC News, you could say.
Not the Golden Girls.
Not the Golden Girls, exactly.
Golden years.
Although I think Sue Lawley auditioned for them.
She's too young.
Way too young. Thank you for being a friend.
Well, it was like listening to the live show then.
It was, wasn't it? I almost looked up to think that it was going to be on.
Estelle Getty strolls in.
Estelle Getty.
So anyway, Michael Burke. I mean, I suppose one of the earliest television memories I have involves Michael Burke. When he was reporting from Africa, Ethiopia, that terrible famine in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, it was his broadcast, wasn't it, that started off Live Aid and Band Aid and all of those charity singles of the time.
Yeah, real chilling reports, weren't they?
They were awful, and I mean, I suppose he can kind of claim a historical role, really, with that.
Well, definitely, and of course that qualifies him, absolutely, to go on and then do another great series when he's out of the newsroom. Royal Recipes. The single most boring TV show ever made. What a great use of his talents.
Yeah,
I mean, I've got to say, he does look like he's a bit of a drinker these days by his nose.
Yeah.
He looks a bit. So I'm not saying he is.
Yeah,
I'm just
to be
putting
fair,
it out there.
If you'd seen what he'd seen, you'd probably drink a lot, wouldn't you?
Right.
He's probably trying to drown out the memories of all his terrible news reporting.
Of Peter Sissons.
Sorry, not terrible news reporting. The terrible things he had to report. I will emphasise that. We've got him at number 2.
So this Royal Recipes is essentially old Burko rocks up in a big kitchen somewhere, doesn't he?
He does.
And they've got this old book full of old recipes that Queen Victoria used to love chowing down on.
Yeah, and then this chef recreates her favourite Wiener Schnitzel.
I thought Albert was her favourite Wiener Schnitzel.
Good old Prince Albert.
A great show. We obviously highly recommend.
Watch it.
Recipes.
Yeah. Never watch it. It's dull as hell.
So, but that's Michael Burke, done, dusted.
Burke's life encapsulated in 3 minutes.
Number 1. Let's move on to number 1. And do you know what? This is such a worthy recipient of the number 1 spot here.
Fred Dynage.
Oh, when we sat down and thought about what we were going to do, what this list was going to be, instantly Dynage.
Yeah, Dynage was number 1 slot. Hasn't moved. Who's going to challenge Dynage?
Not everyone out there is going to know who Fred Dynage is.
How would you challenge Dynage?
We'll be able to explain that. Not everyone out there is going to know who Fred Dynage is. So Fred, bless him, he has been an absolute stalwart of local television news in the UK, mainly in the south.
The Meridian area. Yeah. Currently the Meridian area.
I'd say for the best part of 45 years.
Yeah,
something like that.
He's been there since we were really young, isn't he? Well, before we were born.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm fairly sure.
But the great thing about Fred is obviously a terrific newsreader. Well, so.
An adequate newsreader.
He's got many strings to his bow, hasn't he?
He does. He compares an amazing beauty contest. It has to be said. Very rarely has any beauty contest been presented in such professional,
Miss Anglia,
enthusiastic fashion.
Brilliant. He presented Miss Anglia
1979 and 1980.
2 years. He did such a good job, and there were so many beauties in East Anglia. He had to go back twice. 36
in each episode.
Wow.
I would advise anyone to go on YouTube and watch the hour-long shows that Anglian TV put out.
It's sensational.
They're unbelievable. They
are brilliant. And
absolute TV gold.
Fred makes them. I mean, without him comparing, there is no show. In his velvet suit.
His velvet suit with the beautiful ruffled shirt.
Oh.
I'm sure there's a cummerbund under there.
Oh. Yeah, there's got to be. I mean, the man wouldn't leave home without a cummerbund.
Yeah, and I was surprised to learn, not Sir Fred Dynage. How has the Queen never recognised his talent?
Do you know what? If Burko gets one for doing Royal Recipes,
this is true. Yeah.
Well,
that's what Burke's doing, isn't it? He's trying to get a knighthood.
Of course, it is. That's where Dynage has gone wrong. You see, he's gone off and had a proper career judging beauty contests.
That's true. He's ploughed his own furrow, really, hasn't he?
Do you know what he needs is because in the 70s, Princess Anne, she turned up for a lot of things, didn't she? She did horse riding, appeared on TV, Question of Sport.
This is true. Question of Sport.
Princess Anne had done a beauty pageant, and Fred could have turned up and said, "Wow, do you know what? Just because you're Princess Anne, you can come third." Then,
to be fair, Princess Anne in a beauty contest would be it would be taking a piss, wouldn't it? There would be a sense of like everyone's in on the joke except for her.
Yeah, well, I know. But I mean, if she came first, I don't think she'd worry.
Yeah, but it would be a bit like getting Stephen Hawking to compete in gladiators, wouldn't it? When we all know he was much better suited to Robot Wars.
God. like Captain Bash.
He could have taken on Captain Bash any day of the
Or like
week.
Captain Bash one out.
Captain Bash one out. Oh God.
I don't know how that connects to Fred.
Oh yeah, Fred Dynage. That's who we were talking about, isn't it?
Oh dear. So one last thing to cover off with Fred. How to?
Yeah. The children's TV show that he used to present with Carol Vorderman and Gaz Top.
God, well, that's a whole different program in itself, isn't it? I think
Gaz Top is a whole different ball game.
Great little show. How to? It was essentially Tomorrow's World for kids, wasn't it?
Basically,
yeah. How do things work?
Yeah.
How do we make stuff? Really good little show. He did it for a long time.
He did, yeah. But actually, it always ended with a racial slur against Native Americans, which I thought was a bit unfortunate.
Well, that took the wind out of my sail then. But yeah, you're right. It did, I suppose.
That's how for now.
Yeah,
you couldn't get away with that now.
No, you couldn't. Absolutely not.
Yeah, they were very different times. Very different times.
Well, I think that pretty much rounds up Fred Dynage then, doesn't it?
I think we've pretty much covered his... They should just take this as a transcript for his Wikipedia page, shouldn't they?
As if he'd have one. Right, well, I suppose you better run through this top 5 then. So, number 5, Moira Stewart. Number 4, Trevor McDonald.
Number 3, we've got Alistair Stewart. Number 2, Michael Burke.
And number 1, it's velvet-clad Fred Dynage.
Oh, it's a good list. It's a good list.
Yeah, I really enjoy pulling that one together, and covers off, whilst they're not film stars or pop stars, people who are still an important part of your life, almost, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah. The most trusted person in your living room. Wasn't it?
Definitely more than your parents.
Weren't your parents, were they? They weren't your parents.
So that's it for this list.
Is our top 5 your top 5?
Leave a comment, like and subscribe.
Visit our Facebook page or find us on Twitter @FiveTalking.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.